let me know. So to start with, I'm going to show you a couple things in preparation for a demo like this, in preparation for any large painting I'm doing. I always do a value study of some sort. It could be an ink value study, or it could be a painted value study. This is one that I did for a demo at, can we see that? Yep, okay. This was out at the Arm this winter, and nope. It might have been, that was the one, yeah. And I wanted to make sure I knew where I was going with it, so I do a black and white value study, and then I did a little color study. And the final painting comes out as this. So this gives me an idea where I'm going with the color, with the value, and it gives me what I use with the value studies for is isolating my value masses and making sure I understand the shapes. And to me, it's all about shapes and values. So if you've studied with me, you get tired of hearing that, but I keep harping on it because it is about shapes and values. Once you understand that, it's so much easier to paint. So I have a lot of these little value studies hanging around, and they're just fun to do. Actually, it's a fun thing to do as just an exercise, but they can be very sweet. There's one here. This is one we did in class. I did the value study of the spruce tree with the snow, and then this is the color study that was done from it. So you get some really sweet little pictures that way, and you get really good at understanding your values, your patterns, and it also helps your brush work. So all good. So you can take a look at those when we take a break, and I'll have those available. Demo, I also did a value study. Okay, this is that's my study of what I'm going to paint today. Looks a little complicated. We'll see how it goes. You might see some struggles, but we'll find out. This is the reference I'm working from. But once I get started into this, I pretty much leave those behind. It's what's happening on the paper for me, and this is just a reference to get started. I have some areas that are, I have some of the big shapes drawn in right now, but very little detail here. And also in preparation, I choose my palette. My palette is always chosen up front. I'm very specific about my colors and understanding where I want to go. I keep myself honest by writing it down, and I keep it within the colors that I use. Yep.
What kind of paint are you using?
I'm using Winsor Newton.
Is it oil, water?
It's all watercolor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all watercolor. Yep, this is transparent watercolor. I work exclusively in that. That's about what I'll use. Most of my paintings are done with 3 to 6 colors maximum. I don't like to get too deep into a lot of different colors. It just keeps my color cleaner, and I work better with that. So, with that said, I'm going to try to get started so I can move on. I always have this, my value scale with me when I'm working, because there are times in the middle of the painting when you need to check your values and say, am I on track? Do I have the values I need when I'm to get to? And I tell all my students to have these, and they look blankly at me and they say, what do I do with it? So I try to let you know how to work it. But it's basically, I can put it on a value and see if the circle matches. If that's a circle, if the color matches, if the value matches in there, that's your, here I have my snow is actually this deep value. That's one thing I like to point out, that when I'm painting snow, we have to understand how dark the values really are. When you have bright light on snow, we're not just painting white, we are painting some really dark values, and they come in at, on a scale of 7 out of a 6, pretty much. So that's kind of the key to getting the contrast, is getting your values in the right range. So I will have that available when I need to check it, and so I'm going to get started. I did already tone this, my paper up here, because I wanted a very light tone of the Quin Gold and the Permanent Rose to just get some color in there, and I knew that's going to have to dry, so I wanted to get that before. I started here. So I'm going to get the paper wet, and hopefully I can understand where I need to get that wet, because I'm going to pour in some color, and so I will hopefully work around my whites, but if I lose some of them, that's too bad. I usually, well, I have X'd some of them out so I can see where I'm going with it. When I'm working and talking at the same time, I lose track. So I'm going to start by pouring it on and letting it float. Oh, I won't let it drip. Thank you. It's not that messy. So we'll just let it float in. So it follows where the water is, and it leaves the other areas dry. The dry areas it doesn't go into, supposedly.
Talk about the proportion of paint to water when you do a flow.
Oh, that's kind of a feel thing, but I do. And I got to spray this one. I do a little bit of maybe a 1/4 inch glob of paint in a quarter inch of water in a cup this size. It's like about cream, the consistency of cream, perhaps.
You test it for value?
I usually do. Yeah, I didn't this time. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. You get it mixed up and you get it to the correct value. I'm going to. This is drying fast. These lights dry it. Wow. So we'll get some more water in there, and then I'm going to put some of the Windsor blue in here.
So the first one is cobalt?
First one's cobalt, and because I want to get to at least a mid value, I need something that's a little darker than the cobalt. So I'm pumping it up in terms of the. I'm going to have to move this, so sorry if it's not showing up as well as it should, but I've got to get this. I'm going to start taking it out now, letting the color move. And so I'm going to get rid of quite a bit of paint here. But in the process, I will have, hopefully, a nice wash. And then I'm going to go to the side. And I have, some areas mapped out in white here because it's good. I'm going to see these areas through the trees. However, it's not critical here if I get it just exactly the way the drawing is. So I'm going to let it float up to the top now.
Could you push it our way?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Working?
Yeah, it's working.
There you got it.
You see the whole thing.
Just let me know when I'm not on target there. And then I'm going to try to get it over to this side.
Ever use the Kleenex in the middle of painting?
Yeah, sometimes. There we go. Okay. I'm going to take a damp brush and soften these edges up before we get too hard. I can also do that later on when after things dry out a little bit, but just want to take off some of those edges. Always thinking about the edges and what they're supposed to be doing, so now's a good time to do it. Here, so that I can get it soaked in, so I don't move the paint around. But if I put my my value scale on here, it's actually coming in about here, and it should dry to about the middle value, so I should be pretty good. I am seeing a couple areas though, I just noticed, that should have had some blue on it, so I'm gonna put that in. And these blue areas are actually where the snow is coming across the trees, between the trees. So get this settled in. Side. Bringing down some color, knowing that I'm leaving some of this blue. I need a little bit of my photo here. Understanding where these colors are going to be. I'm working it from left to right, and I will start blending some of these. There's some several different trees going on here. They're coming through here, so. Are we on yet? Yeah, we are. Good. Okay. So you can see what I'm doing now.
What color are you working with now?
It's quin sienna and cobalt blue, so it's a gray. They're blue and an orange, so it's complementary colors. Building in some branches, sort of stuff, finding some color areas.
What was in your darker color?
It's Windsor blue, quin sienna, and quin gold. So I don't have a lot of choices because I'm using all the same colors. So they're just different varieties of those colors. And that makes it much simpler. I don't have to think. I just go back to the same spot on my palette. I mean, it's intuitive for me. I always have my palette arranged in this same orientation. So my yellow is always at this end towards me, and the purple on the other side. So it's also arranged in color wheel order. So I know when I need a blue, I know where to go, and it's always right up here. So not a lot of time spent thinking about where my colors are. It's mostly, I don't have to think about the colors. That's why I like to keep them a little bit, keep the colors simplified. So the less you have to think, I think it's better. There's enough to think about in watercolors, so it's always a challenge. And by the end of the day, I have a lot of really big darks on my palette because they all kind of flow to the center. You can get some good darks in there. I am so far away from this my photo now. I own this piece. It's only a reference, so I can't judge it by how close I am to the photo. We're going to move a couple branches in here. So really keeping it pretty loose. Because I got it, because I don't know if I can finish this in this kind of time. We'll see what happens, but okay. Yep, I'm getting better at speed painting, but it's so I'm interconnecting all of these trees. All the branches will go. And I like to get them connected at this point so that the colors interact. I know it's a little bit of detail, but it's an important part. That's one thing I love about the forest is all the trees have horizontal interconnections, and it's always kind of fun. So.
When you do this, are you thinking design?
Yeah, I'm trying to, right now it's a little hard to think, but
Right.
generally, I've tried it. Yep. So actually these trees are straighter than I would have liked, so I could think about changing that. Okay. So add some, a little bit of a gray background in here. That's actually going to be kind of a negative space area. I've got some stuff going in there that, so I'm going to fill that in. It gets a little grayer over here. And then the whites are going to, what's happening with my shapes. I've got a bunch of blue shapes in here that are, it's basically snow on top of branches, and I need to bring in some darks, mid-darks that are going to shape those. So some greens. And put those as, and let them just float in to some of the blues and the grays in there. And this is not my final layer. It's, so I don't want to get real detail in here. Just trying to shape, and then I can find the detail in there later. Okay, that one actually is kind of interesting. I'm not sure where that was going. All right. Some of these are branches that come over across, and some of them are from a different tree.
What is your green?
The green is Windsor blue, Quin gold, and Quin sienna, something new and different. It's the same colors. I'm not changing. Once I decide on it, I really don't change my color palette at all. It's I like to set it up early on so that I know what I'm doing with it, and I don't have a lot of choices.
Your color palette is 4 colors, is that what I heard?
5 colors. Yep, it's 2 blues, 2 reds, and 1 yellow.
And what reds are you using?
I have a permanent rose and a Quin sienna. Is the orange, and the permanent rose I have in there as to make a gray. However, I don't know if I'm actually going to use that. I did use it to tone the background a little bit.
And what yellow are you using?
Quin gold. So it's really simple. I just finished one. Well, I think it's over on the table there. A forest scene with reflections in the water, and that one was done with 3 colors. It's one of my favorite palettes. It's a tertiary triad of. Can I think of it now?
And paint at the same time.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's. Let me stop painting. Quin gold, green, and magenta, permanent magenta. I love the darks I get with that, and actually this one, the other one with the rocks in the water over there is done in the same palette. It's a fun palette to work in. So only 3 colors, and it's they're all very neutral colors because they're tertiary colors. So you get a lot of really beautiful neutrals, beautiful darks. So. While these are wet, I'm going to drop in some more exciting color into the trunks and just let them float in. This is not working as I was thinking of, but just to get a little bit different color in there. And And, okay, breathe.
And are you working with a 12 brush?
It's a 10,
10.
yep. It's got a good point on it, I like it, it's one of my favorites.
What is the name of your brush?
It is a Cheap Joe's Dreamcatcher.
A what?
Cheap Joe's Dreamcatcher. I use a lot of silver black velvets, and I use the Dreamcatchers, and a few others, but those are my favorite brushes. And then I'm gonna get one more trunk going in here. And I'm just looking at the time, and I'm thinking, once I get this in, I'm going to take a break, and then it will dry it out, and then I'll be ready to at least attempt a little bit more detail in here. So once I get this going, we can take your break. I'm still a long way from detail here. But trying to find a little bit more in these shapes. Oh, let's see, that one. Just put fresh paint on here. So now I've gotten rid of my my little problem areas, and hopefully I shouldn't have a problem, because the third layer goes down with a lot less water. As I build up my layers, I change from, the first layer is very wet and very washy. The second layer is pretty wet, a little bit less water because I'm not putting it down as a wash, a solid wash. And then the third layer goes down with lots of pigment and a lot less water. So I get more detail, more control, and that's when I'm going to build my my detail. So now I give myself permission to go in and put in some of those details I've been waiting to do, but telling myself I can't. So this is the part where all of the definition comes in, and we can start seeing some progress. So. And as most of you said, when you're looking at it on the screen, you don't see the color. It's a lot brighter than what you're seeing up there, but we'll just have to deal with that. So I'm going to, this is where I'm going to start building some big darks. And still the same colors. Haven't changed that. And I'm seeing some areas where I can go and add some detail. I'm going to do a little bit of negative space work where I get branches crossing the trunks. And so building a little bit of dimension in here. So at the very end, I had did some work with the, whatever it's called, the palette knife, and that gave me some information about how these branches cross and intersect with the trunks. So now I have more information to build into the detail. And this is just negative space work. I want a little bit more of a violet gray in here as well. And so I'm going to bring in some of my, that's going to push it back. The cooler colors are going to move back in space. The warmer colors are going to move forward. So my oranges and my browns are going to move forward, and the violets are going to move back. And create some distance, some depth in the composition. I don't have, it's kind of interesting here because I don't have enough time to think about what color I'm using. I'm just kind of reacting to color and putting in darks. It doesn't, I'm not really too worried about it, but getting some interesting stuff going here. Okay, I'm gonna move over to this side a little bit. Because I can see my way a little bit clearer over here, I think. And then we'll get over here. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go.
Now move your painting around.
Where do you want it?
Well, wherever you're painting,
Just enlargement, the other way.
wherever you're painting.
I was working right up here.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
okay.
Yeah, right. Well, that's kind of exciting. Um, So it gives you a little bit closer view of what I'm doing here in the negative space stuff. This is just really branch work here. So I'm going to start working some of these intersecting branches. And I've got this clump of snow here, but I need to shape it, so I'm going to get it wet. Add some cobalt into there. That wasn't so hot. Let's get rid of that edge. It can still be a little bit darker up in here. And then this is, I lost somebody big in here, but all right.
Don't you have to be kind of careful that those two blues on either side of those ones you're just touching are so similar in size and shape, and now in value again?
Those guys?
On either side of those three trees in the middle.
I'm not worried yet. It's probably going to change. I don't get worried until, I don't know when I get worried. They are, I mean, I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, I do this a lot. It's really easy to be very, everything being the same, but we can take that down. And add some pine boughs in here. There's a lot of green going on here. I need to go back to the grays. Yeah, right. Well, true. Okay. You can tell when I'm focusing, I can't talk. Trying to, the problem with demoing is it doesn't give you time to work out problems. So when you run into something, it's you're kind of reacting, and you never know where you're going to head. Are you seeing me work? You're not seeing me work now.
Yeah.
Are you? Okay.
Just reach
I'll tell you
the
to move
top.
I've
it.
just reached the top. Okay.
I'll tell you to move it when
All
I
right.
have to.
Thank you. Okay. I'll try to stick in this area for a while. There's plenty to do, so. Just kind of cooling down some of those areas, letting the branches cross. And then we can change this shape up a little bit. See what I mean? It can change.
Well, now the white shape underneath are the same.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Okay, we'll deal with that one. I was just kidding. This is what I knew was coming in here, is the detail of the branch work, and that's
Okay.
going to, it's going to change all of these shapes.
Yeah.
So, I'm just fooling you guys, but
Yeah.
I really know what I'm doing. No, I don't. I do. So a little bit cooler gray here. And then, but I'd also kind of like to kind of lose some of this white area in there too. Change that. It can be some stuff behind there. That's better. And these are all things that I usually sit in my studio and paint, and I love it in there. And
Okay, now you're too far down.
okay, I'll move up.
No, move the painting.
Yep.
There we go.
That way?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So in my studio, I'll spend 45 minutes painting, then I'll spend a half hour looking at it, and it really takes me. I just have to think about things for a while, and so it's not all just forward movement and painting. It's understanding what my next step is and what I have to do. Okay. We need some more darks in here.
Do you add any white paint on top?
I usually don't know. It's not something I do. Tonight might be a good time to try it. Oh, man.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it?
Okay. Move that up a little bit. There we go. Should be. Okay, even over here, I've got branches coming across. I shouldn't be doing this yet, because I'm trying to develop the, I should be developing the branches, the pine boughs a little bit more before I get into all of this detail, so I'm not sure what it's going to be. But I want to separate it from this value of the snow in front of it, and so the same goes here. I'm going to get that to be a darker value and push that back.
Have you thought of bringing that second tree from the left, breaking that barrier and coming down into the foreground? Right there? Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
That's an option. That might be interesting. It would actually give you, well, hey, let's go. This is a paint by committee here.
Yeah, right.
I could do that.